press conference. Please permit me to introduce to you members of the senior management team of the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning here present. Sitting at the table is Honorable Myers, is the Principal Deputy and Deputy Minister for Fiscal Affairs. Next to him is Honorable Deputy Zhu, is the Deputy Minister for Economic Management. Next in line is the Honorable Tane G. Brunson, which is the Deputy Minister for Budget and Development Planning. Next is the Honorable McGill Jones. He's the Deputy Minister for Administration in the Ministry of Finance. And last but not least, Madam Alice Williams, she's the Deputy Assistant Minister for External Relations and Aid Management in the Ministry of Finance. I think you all know the Honorable Minister, the Honorable Augustine Ngafuan, who will soon be addressing all of you. At this time, we'd like to welcome all of you to this press engagement on the status of the Millennium Challenge Corporation Compact, held at our new furbished 10th floor conference room. At this time, I will now invite the Honorable Augustine Ngafuan, who will now address you all on the official statement and make official statement on the status of the Millennium Challenge Corporation Compact. At this time, the Honorable Augustine Ngafuan, Minister of Finance and Development Planning, will now address the meeting.
Thank you, Honorable Kojolo. Let me, when you exhausted the introduction of the team from the ministry, Honorable Andrew Gullo, Honorable Assistant Minister for Tax Policy, Walking, and we have other senior managers of the ministry. I don't want to take all the time to introduce them. Let me apologize to you, ladies and gentlemen of the press, for the little delay. We had in audience the UK ambassador, the new UK ambassador, who had come to pay a courtesy call. The meeting went a little bit above, but it was in the interest of the country. We had decided to convene this engagement with you, being the lead ministry that coordinates Liberia engagement with the Millennium Challenge Corporation of the United States, so as to give you all, members of the press and the Liberian people, the status of Liberia's engagement with the MCC, and that to inform Liberian people that this engagement with the MCC is for Liberia. And so I have often said that in development, let us unite. You all know that in December 2023, when President Walker was elected president, in December before inauguration, he paid a visit to the United States and had some engagements with critical movers and shakers in the American government and development financing institutions, including the IMF. One of the places he stopped was at the MCC, meeting the then CEO and head of the MCC, Madam Albright, in December 2023. He updated the MCC's team on his vision for the country and that solicited their strong partnership. President Walker left a very good impression on the team. And when we came in as heads of the fiscal management team, beginning with my predecessor, Honorable Boyma Kamara, and the team, most of them were still here. I came in September, and we went to the IMF World Bank annual meetings. And topmost on our agenda was engagement with the MCC. We have been engaging, we have an office here that works on MCC matters. Let me thank all our technicians and the technical people, led by Deputy Minister Debu Wazuo. So we have constant engagement, technically. But at the principals level, we must engage and make the right impression and answer the right questions. And so we had a very successful meeting with the entire MCC team in October 2024. And that they were impressed, and from that engagement, we were assured that Liberia's eligibility will be confirmed by the MCC board. We did not stop there. We had engagements at the State Department. We also had engagement with the U.S. Treasury then. The president continued to diplomatically engage with critical leaders in the U.S. government. So this effort, informed also by the scorecard, it is good that the country has also been on a path of passing the indicators. That was critical. We inherited some passes. That was critical. We want to thank all and sundry, present and past, who did their part, you know, because we came in, we didn't meet it at ground zero. There were some efforts done to acknowledge that. Our job was to clinch it and to use football balance to score the goal, to hit target. And the president led the process, and we hit target. Liberia was qualified, was elected by the MCC board in December for eligibility for a second compact. You know that the MCC compact, the first compact of 257 million grant, helped also rehabilitate the hydroelectric facility that had been damaged. Is one of the casualties of our war. Now we are producing some electricity. Yes, all our problem in power has not been solved or have not been solved, but we have some light we're getting. And the hydroelectric facility is one of the main sources. And it also helped us with water and sanitation in some areas. But the main focus of the MCC support was the rehabilitation of my coffee. It is there today. And so Liberians have a fond attachment with MCC. Don't wonder why when they heard about the Liberia passing for the second compact, people were jubilant. People were generally jubilant. Although I cannot say that everyone was jubilant. I don't have control over that. But Liberians generally were jubilant. And so we began the process. This January, an MCC team visited Liberia, right in this conference room with the ambassador, because we were beginning the process in earnest. And the process entails hiring a new team for the MCC office, a national coordinator, and senior economists in a few positions, including a private sector specialist, environmental specialist, gender specialist, and a few other specialists. And those jobs were meant for Liberians. We put out the ad for the first two jobs, the national coordinator and the senior economist. And we had a process that involved other ministries, other institutions, and the transparency entities were part of a process, GAC and others, to ensure that the recruitment was transparent so that we get the best of the best, the cream de la cream of Liberia in this process. And I'm told that just for two positions, we have 170 applications from Liberians, from all across. And I lauded all of them for their interest. When I saw some of the CVs, very impressed. real Liberians. Since that time, we haven't been able to answer their questions because there was a transition in the U.S. government and things were put on pause for review. Although naysayers interpreted the pause as stop. You know, there are three main buttons on some of us who come from the old school. You get a pause, the play, and the stop. The old cassette, right? Dimas? I don't see them now.
No, they're gone.
So, pause was interpreted as stop. But it was actually pause because it was under review by the U.S. government under the State Department headed by Secretary of State Rubio. We've been engaging as a government with the MCC, the new team. There's a new team, new government, new team. One of the outcomes or the intentions of President Buckey's visit to the U.S. was not just to go to the White House, was to engage the entire U.S. system. And so we were on the team and we were deployed in multiple dimensions. The security folks were engaging on the security level. The diplomatic folks, my colleague, the foreign minister, was engaging. And I was engaging on the economic level. And so it was, action-packed engagement all across. President Buckeye, you all followed the engagement at the White House, and I don't want to belabor that. Liberia is on the map. Good impressions came out, and the president was not just speaking good English in Washington. He was making good moves. So we were deployed at the MCC. I led the team that went and engaged the new team, led by Mr. Suhan Das Gupta, and the entire team. And we briefed the team on where we are. They were interested in a lot of things, asked a whole lot of questions, and we gave them comfortable answers. And that they promised that they would escalate their impressions to Secretary Rubio, and that we hear from them. As you know, we also on some engagement, even after the president's engagement, back to the White House, coordinated by head of President Trump's fifth office, Madam Paula White. I was at the White House, I think 2 days after the president's visit, because we are trying on the aid side, it's not the MCC side, to salvage certain things, especially for education and health. The fifth office is making some push for Liberia. We met Mr. Donaldson, who coordinates the office. I've accordingly put them in touch with the Minister of Education and the Minister of Health, talking about programs on USAID that were caught with the hope of salvaging something for those two critical sectors. And my colleagues are working tooth and nail. When things reach a point of fruition, I think the press will be accordingly briefed. So this process has been on review, and that on, I think Friday or so, this week or last week, we received a formal letter from Mrs. Alicia Robinson Morgan, whom we met before when we met the MCC. She is the Deputy Vice President for Compact Operations, informing us that the MCC board, that the MCC has proposed Liberia for reaffirmation, and that the board is meeting early next week, sometime next week, to consider and possibly do the reaffirmation. So where we are, given all the indicators, we are hopeful that our country, your country, Chief Master's country, Kevin Deming's country, Leonard Dudu's country will be approved for reaffirmation. What does that mean? It means that where we were in the process, when the pause button was pressed, it means that the play button will be pressed. So where we were, we continue from there. And let me explain where we were. When you are declared eligible for compact development, what happens is that it's a process. It's a process where the country works with the MCC to develop a compact proposal. In that process, there is something that is called a growth constraints analysis. With an MCC team that you will hire in conjunction with them, we come up with an analysis on the key impediments to growth or development in the country. Because MCC money should be focused, it is catalytic. So, you know, in the past, there was a constraints analysis done for the first compact. And at the time, it was deemed the constraints were lack of power, lack of rules, and access to finance. So you saw that the MCC focused most of its funding to power. Well, a new constraints analysis, we've done the National Development Plan. We've identified where we are generally. You know, the National Development Plan costs $8.34 billion. Whatever resource we get from the MCC would not be $8.34 billion. The MCC will give us some money, and it is after that process, the growth constraints analysis, projects will be identified in the key sectors, costed, and then the costing of all those projects will determine the specific amount. We are hopeful that the amount will be very significant. You know, so we don't want to nickel and dime on amounts now. It could be, I see people floating figures. It could be below the figures they are floating. It could be higher than the figure they are floating out there. So at this point, there is not an amount. The good relations we have, the good signals this government working with all of you, we are putting out there as a country, is keeping us on track, and we're very hopeful. When Liberia's case was brought before the MCC board last year, in December, it was not only that we were approved, but we were unanimously approved. Not one board member raised any issue. So Liberia has friends across the entire US spectrum. And so the outgoing ambassador, you know, is also very upbeat. Ambassador Turner, he sent me an email, very upbeat, that he's very happy that as he transitions, you know, that MCC is still alive. And so next week, hopefully we'll be able to give you details. But there's where we are. Here's where we are. Let's look to next week to get the formal board approval. But all indicators are positive for your country. So that's the briefing I wanted to give you, and give you the opportunity to ask one or two specific questions related to the MCC. Thank you.
Okay.
At this time, we'll now turn over to Madam Patient Women, who will now regulate the questions that answer you.
Thank you, members of the press, for coming this afternoon. We will take a few questions. If you have any questions to be asked, just raise your hand. You call your institution, your name, your institution, and you ask your question. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm Fafle Kamara from ELBC. Minister, thank you very much. I just want to know if the compact has been developed, and if so, are we awaiting the post approval before any amount is announced?
Well, let me explain this process. It is a process leading engagement. One, you are declared eligible for the development of a compact. The development of a compact comes with you doing a constraints analysis. It was done before, maybe 2012, 2013. Currently, where we are as a country, the MCC will want to know, will do another constraints analysis. Currently, what are the constraints to growth? There are reports out there. Those reports will help the MCC. The process may not take that long. And then the areas identified, the MCC will direct, its money to helping us to tackle, address those constraints. So then those projects will be prepared. And then the total cost of those projects will be put together in a compact agreement with the MCC to say it's an MCC compact agreement. At this point, we are not at this point of a compact agreement. We are at the initial stages of developing the compact proposal. Where it starts with the constraints analysis. We're hiring a senior economist, a national coordinator, and all those people, they were to help, or they are to help in that process. Let me say that Liberia's engagement or Liberia's respect at the level of the MCC is significant. In the email to me, the Deputy Vice President, Madam Robinson Morgan, said, and I will quote, she said, "I would like to thank you for your engagement and your collaboration. Please know that the MCC has the greatest respect for your government as a partner and have greatly appreciated the opportunity to work together towards a common objective." So we're working towards a common objective. From all indications, we are on track. We are hopeful that the board will green light the play button on our MCC engagement, and then we go into recruiting the manpower quickly, doing the constraints analysis quickly, so that the projects can be identified. It will take some time, maybe more than a year or so, and then we go and sign an agreement. Let me give this information. People are comparing with Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone won its second compact, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 2020 or 2021. Second compact, September 2024. In September 2024, my colleague, the Minister of Finance of Sierra Leone, Fanta Mamadi Bangura, signed with the MCC a 480 million compact agreement, September 2024. So Sierra Leone has been way ahead of us, way ahead of us. So now, in the concept of the play button, if someone is ahead of you and then they press play, the person will be ahead of you. Because the press pause. Everybody, you know, remember that thing in the past where they say stick, and then we'll wait. Play. So Renew is ahead. So they're ahead. Because they were ahead before.
With fast play.
Yeah, play. So, and if I don't want to, I think a country was even in implementation already with their projects. Everything paused. So they were ahead, they are ahead. So we are behind in the process. And that we will hope and we will work to ensure that the development process will be expedited. But all indicators are good. We'll continue to make good results, good indicators on all the scorecards. And this is all government approach, led by the president, assisted by the vice president. We coordinate with the other ministries. The scorecards are not just the responsibility of the Ministry of Finance. You have issues that relate to gender, education, health. So it's, you know, and even civil society. What we do as a country, you know, is important. And let me say this. We can haggle, we can argue based on the kind of stripes we wear.